Story 1. Fresh food expires much faster than you think, while food with preservatives lasts well beyond the expiration date. Story 2. Finding the energy to complete Task A while simultaneously planning how to deal with Task B, but being stuck catching up on Task C when Problem D interrupted any momentum completing Task E is challenging. I just want to rest in bed with my cat. Story 3. Small children come with small problems. Adult children create adult problems. What I would give to go back and change diapers at 3 in the morning. Story 4. Budgeting. My mother taught me how to cook, but not the buying and budgeting part. It took a while for me to actually learn how to do it myself. Story 5. Getting disappointed by people you thought you knew well hits differently as you get older. Story 6. How much your body, mind, and soul change. Developing allergies to things you did not have before. Noticing how certain foods affect your body. Uncovering trauma you were unaware of, new freckles, new stretch marks, dealing with toxic family members, and growing apart from people. One way or another, we are all on this journey together. Moving with compassion and gratitude makes life lighter. Be easy on yourself and others. Story 7. Sex. Growing up in the 1960s in rural Australia, it was never spoken about. As a young adult, I had no idea what I was doing. It was like being in a pitch-black room, groping around for a black marble. It was a long process with many difficult moments and a few significant challenges that took a decade to become relatively good at. And I really mean relatively because I am sure even then I made mistakes more often than not. Story 8. Death. I feel like once you reach a certain age, there are always one or two people you know who die every year, whether naturally or not. Story 9. Understanding how credit, mortgage, and rent work is important. I am pretty sure no one teaches us that in high school. Also, learning how to eat right, avoid cheap food, and buy high-quality, non-genetically modified organisms is essential. Story 10. Relationships and navigating life socially is one of those things that most people assume just clicks, but it is a challenge for many. Story 11. People form opinions about you based on your success and financial status rather than your personality and kindness. Story 12. This loneliness. Mother never had time for me, not even for some tea and talking because of her work. My twin brother is extremely busy. We haven't seen each other in months. Since I live in a village about 20 kilometers outside of town, on days off, they prefer to do their own chores and just relax. Friends, as you get older, also become extremely busy and never have time. Due to a disability, I am currently unemployed, living alone off the government, doing street music daily not for money but just to be around people and have some structure. So I am the person left out since I can't work with way too much free time, and everyone else is racing toward their goals and can't make room for me. If they wanted to, they could make time. Yes, obviously, but that's another thing no one prepared me for. Even if it's blood, it doesn't mean it's a close family. My twin brother, the last time he visited, I asked when he would come again, and he literally said, "I don't know why I would come over again." That's another thing, how impossible some things are to cope with. I can hear that from anyone and wave them goodbye with a smile. But my twin brother? It's a mess. I'd rather be a dog. Why did I become a male human being having to navigate this world on my own? My goal is to create a family, provide for them, and die in peace. I hope I'll get there. I've been through 4 relationships, each lasting between 8 months and 4 years, always ending in an explosion. Story 13. Watching family members age and pass away, you realize that one day you will be the one planning the gatherings. Story 14. Everything ends. 72 million, and not an enemy in the world as they are all dead. The last one in 1989. All my classmates, army friends, and family are dead or lost to time. Those precious souvenirs and possessions will be in a garage sale for 25 cents or the landfill after you die. Enjoy your belongings while you can. Story 15. The irreconcilable conflict of hating having to go to work but also being terrified of not having employment. Story 16. When adults need assistance to handle more complex problems, they are often not prepared for them. Story 17. Handling an anger-prone husband. Learning that it is okay to have a list of unforgivable mistakes and to say that enough is enough. Story 18, menopause. There was absolutely no warning from anyone. Family, doctors, or sex education at school. Nothing. All we were told was, your period will stop and that's menopause. What a travesty. The negligence is downright criminal. Story 19, home ownership. Growing up, my dad never had any huge problems to take care of around the house. In my experience so far in 5 years of owning a home, I've had to get new windows, new siding, foundation work, garage door springs, new garage door openers, new furnace and air conditioning unit, new heat pump, painting just about every room in the house, plumbing issues, new bathtub, and more. I am very tired. I know there are people out there who would love to own a home right now, but consider the list above. If the previous owners did not really take care of the house, I hope you are lucky enough to find the money to get these issues addressed. I am barely making it. Story 20. You and your childhood friends will inevitably drift apart, and while you may not notice it as it happens, there will come a day when the sadness and pain of that loss will hit you like grief. Once that grief comes, it does not fully go away. Story 21. Having to make 3 meals a day when I sometimes do 16-hour shifts, but even after 8-hour shifts, it is hard when I get so very tired. Story 22. Dealing with my in-laws. My parents live in another city, and we stay with them twice a year. My wife loves them. My in-laws stay with us often and treat our house like a holiday home. We cannot stay with them in Sydney because they live in a small apartment. If I get upset, my wife gets upset. Story 23. You want to meet your close friend, but the problem is you are not available when he is, and it is the same for you. We cannot afford to miss work. Story 24. Having no one. It's not something that everyone experiences, but as someone who grew up in a toxic family, I always knew it would be this way. It still hurts. I feel like I have to work twice as hard because if something happens, all I have is myself. There is no emergency contact. Story 25. How often is it inevitable to fall out with certain members of your family? I cannot stand my sister and most people from my mother's side of the family. I have now decided to cease contact with them. Family conflicts are extremely stressful. At least my father's side of the family are still decent people. Story 26. When you have no money, you literally have no money. Need something? Maybe steal it, but no buying. Story 27. Scheduling rest days. I have to prepare in advance to have a day with no chores, appointments, or events. It is rare but phenomenal for my mental health. Story 28. Being so poor that I cannot eat every day of the week. I was told to go to school, get good grades, work hard, and I would be successful. I wish it were that easy. Story 29. The body wearing down. Nothing happened, but you have pain, bruises, soreness, and tiredness all the time. Story 30. All the logistics, tasks, and heavy work associated with making a long-distance move after years in one place, having children, and accumulating a lot of belongings. I really dislike it. Story 31. That noise my knees make every time I bend them. I now understand the grunt my father makes every time he bends down to pick something up. Story 32. Nothing is as simple or easy as it should be. You can have a good couple of weeks, then suddenly so many things go wrong all at once, one after the other, and it doesn't stop. Story 33. Growing as an adult will teach you how to adapt to every situation, manage your emotions, and keep adjusting without complaint. Story 34. When your parents are too old to help you with your problems or give good advice, it is pretty heartbreaking. Story 35. As a 31-year-old autistic woman, the complete lack of a daily schedule is challenging. I would be absolutely lost in life without my daily planner. No joke, autistic inertia often sneaks up on me without it, so I would actually forget a good part of my chores without that planner. I would also fully forget about my appointments without it. Story 36. Your health is not to be taken for granted. At any moment, you can become disabled. I developed brain swelling from a coronavirus infection, and my left arm is paralyzed. Story 37. Loss of control over your health, lifestyle, and work choices can be challenging. Sometimes you have to work a job or hours that you cannot control. Your health may also be challenged, and you might need to relax and accept the situation as it is. Story 38. The high school drama and people acting unpleasant were just the beginning. It actually never stops. I run my own business and still see small cliques forming within the company. It's mind-blowing. Story 39. The number of forms you need to fill out is overwhelming. Your dentist requires details of your entire medical history. Story 40. Balancing work, children, home maintenance, social life, self-care, and pets when you have a chronic illness. When you are at home, if you have a supportive family, there may be someone to let the dog out and make sure everyone is fed. When you are a child, if you do not go to school, you do not end up homeless and without health insurance. Unfortunately, some children are already homeless and without health insurance. They have already become adults in my mind, which is sad. Story 41. Being very sick and unable to get out of bed, but needing to leave the house for urgent medical care or to buy over-the-counter medicine, with no friends or family available to help. An all-wheel drive vehicle might need all 4 tires replaced if one nail punctures one tire. Story 42. Realizing and accepting that your family does not always want the best for you is difficult. It has been tough because my culture conditions you to believe how important family ties are. Story 43. Getting my identity stolen was difficult. I made it a point to take a personal finance class in high school because they do not teach you about taxes otherwise. When I filed my taxes for the first time, I found out my social security number was stolen and used by someone else. Now I have to deal with that. Story 44. Having to spend all my money on things I do not even want. My refrigerator broke this week, and I had to take my dog to the veterinarian for his annual vaccinations. There goes all my money. Story 45. Everyone always warned me to never get a girl pregnant, which I understand is great advice. I thought it was a guarantee without protection. But now that I am an adult going through in vitro fertilization, I never knew it would be so difficult to actually get pregnant. It is quite a difficult experience. Story 46. Everything. Seriously, everything. I feel like I was taught how to read and some math, then thrown to the wolves wearing nothing but bacon underwear. Story 47. Buying a new refrigerator, washer, or dryer because you're stopped working on a holiday weekend. Having the gas shut off due to a leak at the meter on a holiday weekend. Having no hot water until it can be repaired. Story 48. The entirety of what I was taught about saving money was the sentence, "It is good to save money," not how or what to invest in. Story 49. Ludicrous, completely unreasonable requirements for jobs that no one on the planet could ever meet. You would think that an experienced adult would be able to find jobs in their field, but apparently every employer now thinks they need 5 university degrees, 75 years of experience in everything, and need people to work for $6 an hour too. It is ridiculous. Story 50. Having to ask for clarification when a man tells you, "I love you." Do you mean in a legally binding way, or that sex is fun with you and you are solid enough to split bills with kind of way? Story 51. Younger people, such as your colleagues or your own children, will look to you for stability or problem solving, even if you are unsure of what you are doing and are close to a mental breakdown. Story 52. Thinking being an adult will be fun because children are naive. Adults do not help with dream jobs or similar matters. Story 53. Not specifically an adult problem, but anxiety attacks. I never had them until my late 20s, and they have only worsened as I have aged. Story 54. That strange age from 18 to 20 where you are technically an adult and could do adult things, but you are still living with your parents and do not yet have the experience or financial freedom to do those big adult things. You are basically just a teenager with a different name. Story 55. Taxes. I didn't know if you didn't do them, then you would be in big trouble. Knowing how to buy or rent a house is important. Understand mortgages, the difference between interest and principal loans, and how you can be broke, but as long as you have good credit, you are okay. Story 56. Taxes. Moved overseas and received a large fine because I did not prepare a tax return in my country of origin. Saved a decent amount for the deposit of my first house in the new country, but the taxation office took a large portion of the interest I earned. Story 57. My taxes as a small business owner were frustrating. That was over 20 years ago now, so I barely remember, but the frustration is clear as day. Story 58. Having to become skilled at managing adult responsibilities without much guidance because you want to be better at it than your parents were. Story 59. Dealing with younger adults always thinking their problems are different from the generations that came before them and how life is not fair now. It seems like a rite of passage for each generation at this point. Story 60. Depression and having to fit into a society that does not take your dreams seriously. Even when you make money from them, they still think they are absurd. Story 61. 1. Bills. 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 How difficult it is to make friends once you are out of college. No one wants to play hide and seek anymore. They are too busy getting played and ghosting instead. Story 62. Life skills. Investing. Being smart with money. Budgeting. How expensive rent and groceries are. Story 63. Dealing with bills. Every now and then you receive a random bill for £40. Factor fee, school trip, or repair bill. Could be anything. Story 64. When my stomach hurt, I used to be able to stay home and rest. Then, in my 20s, I had to pack spare underwear and either soil myself or vomit while working my 12-hour manufacturing shift, or face eviction, starvation, or my girlfriend leaving me. That's another thing as an adult. Friends are fickle. They come and go like dust in the wind, mostly due to work. I wasn't prepared for how many people I grew up with would fall away either because of work or the drug epidemic. I still regularly talk to one person I went to high school with, and I am told that is a high number. Also, beloved family members die, like your favorite uncle or someone close. At some point, everyone just starts dying, and it's strange because you are not even that old yet, but something has happened and they have all aged from their 50s to their 80s once you do the math. They tend to die in groups, possibly where they grew up together. To survive, you cannot see everyone as much from your early 20s through early 30s, and then, once you get established and have more time, many of them have already passed away. It is brutal. Story 65. There was a really foolish and unintelligent kid in your class who grew up to be an adult. Many people have had a similar person in their classes as well. You have to realize there are many foolish adults in this world. Story 66. Adult onset allergies or occupational chronic illnesses. I have enough problems from being born, and my body wants to add to the pile so badly. Also, loans. I am still not totally sure how annual percentage rate works. Story 67. Do paperwork, make medical appointments, pay bills, manage the home economy, basically everything. No one really prepares you for adult life. Experience comes in the moment. Story 68. Sometimes you have to spend days or even weeks in an apartment with someone who hurt, betrayed, and left you after years of living together because neither of you can find a place to stay quickly. Also, there is the heart-wrenching pain of sorting everything into piles labeled mine and his or hers. Story 69. Old injuries always become current injuries. I might have bounced back fast as a kid, but all those Achilles and ankle stability issues I had doing Taekwondo while my body was still growing really enjoy coming back to cause problems. A pretty rough lower back muscle pull years ago also likes to remind me that it is still holding a grudge. Story 70. Having my first baby made me, and everyone I know who had a baby, reassess their own mother-daughter relationship, feel upset about it for a while, and most of us needed therapy. Story 71. Life is just pointless. You go to work, do the same things, and nothing really matters or is important at the end of the day. Story 72. Had this in my last relationship. There is a time dependency for everything. Take all the time you need is actually a luxury when life is knocking on your door most days. Story 73. The sheer amount of death. Outliving so many peers is unsettling. It really teaches you that it is absolutely a privilege to grow old. Story 74. Trying to figure out who is who. Sometimes I cannot tell a 16-year-old from a 30-year-old. When did 30-year-olds start being so short and round-faced? How is this so confusing? Story 75. Loneliness. When you were in school at any non-adult age, you saw your friends almost every day. Now I can count the number of real friends I have on one hand, and I have seen none of them in the past month, let alone for a few years for some of them. This is not for lack of trying to catch up as well. Story 76. Personal finance. I think that we as a country, the United States of America, do not properly prepare teens and young adults to handle their personal finances. Story 77. Never having time. I used to have time and could do a lot of things. Now I have no time. I have to skip some activities to have downtime. The lists of group tasks are endless, along with the never-ending expectations of maintaining yourself, your life, your home, your car, your finances, and your paperwork, even if it is all online now. I have sticky notes everywhere just to keep up. I want to go back to being a spoiled teenager again. I miss that so much. Story 78. Break up with my girlfriend and family problems. My family never helped me, but I am a man and I am mentally strong. Story 79. Having to decide what to eat for dinner every day can be exhausting. Alternatively, living with a cook means the responsibility is theirs. Story 80. The main problem is that we have to deal with all types of people on our own. As children, our parents will do it for us. Story 81. Health and car insurance. 2 children at $600 car insurance and $400 health insurance per month, not including the father and myself. Story 82. Being a bad sibling early in life can make your siblings treat you like an outcast for the rest of your life. I was not that awful. I may have told my sister that a monster lived in the attic and was going to kill her eventually, but I did not chase her and my brother around with knives and chainsaws. Story 83. Distancing myself from my parents because they were both abusive and are both narcissists. They refuse to take accountability for their roles in my childhood. It is sometimes lonely, and I wish things were different. Holidays can be difficult too, but I am at peace. I can finally heal. I know I deserve better. Story 84. Not knowing how to do it yourself but too embarrassed to admit it. So living with issues you have created. I now have 2 stopcocks. Story 85. Politics and celebrity. Nobody said that they were going to pay your family and friends to speak negatively about you. Story 86. When you are a child, all the decisions are made for you, and you have many people to consult on what to do. Then one day it is like, here is the entire world. Choose what to do. Good luck. I experienced so much choice paralysis. Story 87. Unpaid internship really sucks. Doing this all by yourself is not an easy job. I am doing an unpaid internship and want to switch to a better opportunity. While doing this, you have to keep updating your resume, LinkedIn profile, and your skills. Why did nobody teach me this before? Adulthood is difficult. Life is challenging. And sleep, don't even ask. In the end, everything will be okay. Story 88. I feel like I was born to be an adult, to be honest. The most frustrating thing, I guess, would be the waiting lines in banks. I just play a quick video game, watch something, or be in my head until it's my turn, and then I'm fine. Story 89. Always needing to buy something. You are just perpetually out of stock on one thing. Storage bags, shampoo, sponges, garbage bags, toothpaste. You feel accomplished that you bought everything you need. Then all of a sudden, you realize you forgot one. Story 90. That existence ought not to be this way, and others appear either uninterested or unwilling to alter it. Story 91. Death of parents, elders, or friends, especially those who have seen you growing up together. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.